Scarcity has always been the invisible currency of civilization, long before technology, long before money, long before modern systems. Scarcity decided who mattered. For most of human history, value came from very specific things. Who had access, who had knowledge, who had tools, who had time, who had reach. Scarcity created hierarchies. If something was hard to get, the person who had it mattered. If something took years to learn, the person who mastered it mattered. If something required permission, the gatekeeper mattered. Scarcity shaped power. Now, here's where we need precision. AI didn't remove effort. It didn't remove learning. It didn't remove mastery. AI removed scarcity at the surface level, and that distinction matters because surface scarcity and deep value were never the same thing. What scarcity looked like before this moment, knowledge was sacred. So experts mattered. Production tools were sacred, so institutions mattered. Distribution was sacred, so gatekeepers mattered. Time was sacred, so speed mattered. If you controlled access, you controlled value. What AI did and is still doing is collapsing the cost of access, not the cost of wisdom or judgment or meaning, just access. Let's look at everyday examples of scarcity being removed. Let's make this human and more ordinary. Let's start with number one, the information scarcity that was removed. Now, before, you needed schools, you needed credentials, you needed books, mentors, libraries. Information lived behind walls, brick and mortar. Now, a question produces an answer in seconds. Everyone could sound informed. Memorization no longer distinguished intelligence. This scarcity that disappeared, knowing facts. Knowing is no longer rare, so intelligence had to migrate. Let's move to number two, the skill performance scarcity that was removed. Before, coding required years. Design required training. Writing required a craft. Execution separated professionals from everyone else. Now, tools can simulate the output. Execution is accessible. Performance is at your fingertips. Performance no longer equals mastery. The scarcity of that disappeared. Doing task, any task. So skill had migrated. Let's move to number three, to the removal of the production scarcity. Before, you needed a studio, you needed a publisher, you needed a company, you needed a team. Production required permission. Now, one person can generate volumes. Output is cheap now. Content floods everything now. The scarcity that disappeared, being able to produce something. Production is no longer an obstacle, so creation had to migrate. Now, let's move to number four, the removal of speed scarcity. Before, fast thinkers had advantage. Faster producers won. Speed equated edge. Now, machines are faster than humans. Speed no longer signals intelligence. The scarcity that disappeared was the act of moving fast. So, advantage had to migrate. What did AI did or didn't do? AI didn't remove human worth. It removed artificial scarcity. And when artificial scarcity disappears, something unavoidable happens. My big observation is values shift. Value never disappeared. It never disappears. It just moves. Value doesn't vanish. It migrates always. So the real question isn't what lost value. The new question we need to be asking ourselves is, where did value go? Or where is value focusing on now? Let me frame this as the great value migration. These are not theories. These are the quiet shifts shaping the next human era. Let's highlight this, starting with number one. We went from knowledge to judgment. When everyone knows now, knowing stops being valuable now. What now becomes valuable is choosing wisely, knowing what not to do, or understanding implications. Judgment requires experience, emotional regulation, moral awareness, perspective. Judgment cannot be automated. This elevates elders, leaders, mentors, and guides. This is a generational return to wisdom. Now let's move to number two. We went from skill to discernment. When everyone can perform now, performance stops being impressive. What becomes valuable now is taste, discernment, knowing what fits the moment. Discernment asks questions like, is this appropriate? Is this needed? Is this aligned? AI generates options, but humans choose appropriateness. Discernment becomes currency. Number three, we went from output to meaning. When output floods the world, where you can create content in a second, output loses its inherited value. When everyone moves fast, having absolute speed now becomes irrelevant. What becomes valuable now is knowing when to move, when to wait, when to stop. Timing is intuition plus experience. AI can optimize speed. Only humans can sense timing. And number four, we went from access to trust. When everyone has access, access no longer differentiates you. What becomes valuable now is integrity, reliability, emotional stability, consistency. People follow who they trust, who feels grounded, who doesn't panic. Trust becomes a survival trait in abundance. The next era of humanity will not be led by the smartest anymore, or the fastest, the loudest, or the most technical. It will be led by those who can handle complexity, interpret meaning, exercise judgment, provide orientation, and stabilize chaos. This marks a profound shift from knowledge workers to sense makers, from experts to stewards, from producers to guides. Now, why is this good news? This shift restores value to life experiences, emotional intelligence, patience, persistence, and humanity. The future doesn't belong to machines. It belongs to humans who know how to live well with machines. AI didn't take value away from humans. It's doing something interesting now. Friends, it's removing artificial scarcity and forcing value to return to what was always human. I'm Leroy Glover, and if you feel the shift, that's because you're living inside it. Remember, friends, humanity matters more, not less.